Hello and welcome to another episode of Growing Up B2B. I'm your host, Ed Delia. I'm the second generation president of Delia Associates. We are the growth advisory and activation firm focused exclusively on family-owned B2B companies. And today I'm joined by Harry Dale, co-founder of Cover and Supply Company. Harry and his brother Nick are building something from the ground up. After growing up in an entrepreneurial family and watching their parents build and ultimately sell a successful multi-location business, the brothers decided to chart their own path by launching a manufacturing company focused on custom spa covers for dealers across the country. This is a story about recognizing opportunity, challenging an established industry, manufacturing in America, and what it's like to build a business alongside your brother before either one of them has turned 30. So Harry, welcome to Growing Up B2B.
Thank you for having me.
Awesome. So for any of our listeners who may not be familiar with Cover and Supply Company, could you tell us in your own words what the company is all about and what makes your approach to the market different?
Yeah, sure. So we obviously manufacture spa covers, but we also carry a select line of accessories. As you can see, we're not the most creative bunch, Cover and Supply Company. That's sort of where that comes from. A little thing that we do different is we help facilitate the supply chain of spa covers, if that makes sense. They're very big. So our whole thing behind it is not actually, we got to manufacture everything in-house. We have to get all the materials here because it's a lot less to ship the components, and then we assemble it and ship them out.
Mm-hmm.
We mainly service the Northeast.
Okay. That's a good point. They are not the smallest item that one could be shipping overland, right?
Mm-hmm.
Good point. So before launching this business, you spent a number of years watching your parents build and eventually sell a successful business. So talk about that for a minute. What lessons did you absorb simply by growing up in that environment?
It was always our conversation at the dinner table, but I think probably the biggest takeaway is that you have to equally show up on the bad days as you do on the good days.
Well said.
Because, everybody has those days, but when you're running the show, you kind of don't have a choice. So
Yeah.
there's
Yeah.
no going through the motions. You got to be there.
So you can't call in sick on those bad days. You got to.
Yeah, pretty much. I've delivered plenty of spot covers under the weather, that's for sure.
Know what that's like. So every business has had a series of what I'll call defining decisions or defining moments. So when you look back so far at the history of Cover and Supply, what's one or two decisions that you and your brother made that fundamentally maybe changed the trajectory of the company?
I would say just the start of it initially. I was living in Florida at the time when we started like kind of piecing this together. I was in Florida and I was working as like essentially an executive assistant, if that's what you want to call it.
Mhm.
And my brother was in Philadelphia. He was working for Amazon and was working nights, like, I don't know, middle of the night. We both
Okay.
were just like, I don't know. We can't work for other people anymore. It's not how we were raised. It's very hard to do that when you grow up in a family business.
Yeah.
You know, go hand over the reins to someone else. It's just not how we were raised. So I
Mhm.
think the biggest decision was us both moving back to the Lehigh Valley and actually getting this thing going.
So most people at your age, and how old is your brother is close to you in age, right?
Yeah, he's 28 or 29, trying to think.
Okay. Okay. So most people around that age aren't looking at spa covers and seeing entrepreneurial opportunity. So what did you and your brothers see that maybe others were missing in this particular market?
I think it's a mix of me and my brother, but also my family in general. Growing up in the retail space, for those listening who don't know, um, my family is a part of the Pelican family, so we're just located just next door. But um, we used to pay like let's call it $350 for a spot cover when they were manufacturing them in Allentown, which is just 20 minutes away. And then they shut down that facility, and that $350 turned into $500. So you used to be able to basically double your money on it. But since that, that link was taken out of the supply chain, all the prices went up for a lot of people in the Northeast.
So you saw firsthand an opportunity to potentially fill that gap
Hmm.
with your own line and with basically a solution that your family's business was firsthand experiencing, because
Yeah, pretty much.
and for those that don't know, The Pelican, well, it's ski and pool. So in the warm weather months, pools and hot tubs are an important line of business for that particular business model. So you saw an opportunity firsthand, and then what what was that conversation like with you and your brother as you started to like? How did that unfold? Where you said, "Hey, let's do this."
Um, I think it was a combination of like both of us talking about that we want to do something on our own, and my dad also being like, "Why are you guys wasting your time working for these random companies when you guys should be here and let's build something?" And we were like, "Yeah, point taken. We should probably do that." But we actually didn't really get things going until about a year after I'd moved home. So we worked at Pelican, the retail end of things, for a solid year. I mean, I've been working there on and off since I've been born. But so we kind of had a feel for what the retailers were going through. And I think that's a unique perspective to bring because a
Hmm.
lot of other people in this industry are just like sales reps or, they work for a larger manufacturer who, you can pass the buck to someone if something's wrong. You can't really
Hmm.
do that, at
Hmm.
least not
So
yet.
so was that in any way was your father kind of influencing or suggesting that the two of you stay on with Pelican as sort of the next generation? Was that being discussed at the time or not really?
Um, we've gone back and forth from it, but I mean, I don't think my parents are ever the type of people that would retire.
Hmm.
So I think we kind of just like we're all in this together kind of mentality. Um, but that's it's a mystery as of now. We're gonna focus on this for a while, and we'll get to that
Okay.
later.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, now you're on to something else, that's for sure. So,
Hmm.
potentially something that can be even bigger as you grow
Yeah.
and scale. Um, so it sounds like your folks were fairly supportive of you and your brother launching into this business.
Yeah. Definitely.
Okay. So before we got on this episode, you had referenced that you and your brother Nick have complementary strengths. Talk about that for a moment, Harry. How have the two of you, like, where do you see his strengths and your strengths, and how have the two of you kind of divided and conquered to make the partnership work?
Um, I don't know. I think Nick is very, very put together. He's very organized, and I'm kind of the exact opposite. I'm more like on the fly. So it's a good dynamic because like I kind of veer off and explore things sometimes, but he can reel me in when, we need to get stuff done.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So he's a little bit more operations minded or more in backstage to your front stage. Is that a good way to describe it, or how would you describe it?
Yes and no. I mean, I don't think we're at the point where we can really separate powers that much just because it is just the two of us. So like,
Mhm.
I don't know, I think I did a podcast a few months ago and someone was like, "What's your title?" I'm like, "I'm a machine operator, maintenance worker, trash guy, salesman." Like, I was like, "I don't know. Just say my name. It's okay." I'm like, I'm not too wrapped up in that.
So you're at the point where whatever it takes, that's my title.
Pretty much. Yeah.
And your brother's probably of the same mind, and you just have
Hmm.
different orientations to how you go about it. I
Yeah.
see.
We both know how to do everything. We both do everything very well. I
Excellent.
think it's more of just like our preference and what we would like to do.
Yeah. Yeah. And as you grow and scale, then it moves from doing to coaching and teaching,
Hmm.
helping others
Pretty much.
figure out what you know and how to do it right. So, in any industry, um, starting a manufacturing business is certainly no small undertaking. So, as you reflect back, what's been the biggest surprise about actually making products instead of just being the ones that are selling products?
I always thought that the customer relations side of things would be a lot easier than it actually is. Um, like I thought, that's a piece of cake. We'll do our thing manufacturing and make good stuff and it'll all work out. But I find quite a lot of my time's eaten up just talking to people on the phone or I don't know, I probably spend on an average week when I'm going out selling 20 hours a week because I actually go face to face most time. I find that if you call people, they'll just tell you no. So you got to be there and, a little bit of showmanship. They like that.
Nice, nice. So the customer interface and customer interaction time
Hmm.
was a bit more than you had initially maybe thought about. That's interesting. So it wasn't
I mean,
necessarily the actual making of the products, it was the more of the interface, the front end of the
when we
product.
were first learning to like make the things, like yeah, like that was definitely the focus. But like now, like we're actually busy, so like I don't have like, I mean, it's not that I'm not constantly improving, but I don't have time to really like get into the nitty gritty of like, oh, well, like I can save 3 seconds here if I do this instead of this. It's like, no, this needs to get done.
Sounds like a job for Nick.
Yeah, yeah, true.
So and so are you selling into distribution or are you selling to retail? What are your channels of selling right now?
It's pretty much just retail for now.
Mhm.
I think we've been trying to work on some distribution stuff, but the economies of scale really aren't there yet. And I spent a lot of time chasing that distributor business, but
Mhm.
it's kind of like it's nice to have that distributor business, but the margins are much better on the retailer side. So like
Okay.
why spend so much time on this when you could do this? And this
Yeah.
one will make you more money. And quite honestly, that's where we're at is we're pretty broke, so we need money. So it comes down to those decisions as well a lot.
Understood. And there and in this particular industry sector, um, there seems to be a fairly resilient retail presence. It's not like in some categories where the localized retailer is being eclipsed by box stores and things of that nature. It would seem that you know
Hmm.
every community has their kind of their local pool and spa centers, if you will, and
Yeah.
that's where you go if you want you know if you want these goods. So it kind of makes sense. And if you can control that channel and it's a better margin, yeah. Um,
Listen, I want a really old business because that means they got a lot of old hot tubs that need new covers. Those are the best ones.
Good point. Good point. So, at one point, as I understand it, you were importing a lot of raw materials from overseas, and then you kind of pivoted towards more domestic manufacturing relationships. So, talk about that pivot and what that taught you about supply chains and resilience and control when it comes to your supply chain.
So, for reference, we brought in 6 sizes originally from China. And
Hmm.
I mean, I doubt anybody listening really knows much about spa covers, but I have a database of around 4,500 different sizes. So, while I can cover some stuff, but it's not everything. And it was frustrating because you go out and sell, you'd be like, I got these 6 sizes. And, like a manager or someone would be like, well, what do I do if I need this one? And you're just kind of like, I don't know, go somewhere else, I guess. But, um, and I could get that stuff from overseas, but it takes a lot of time and no one wants to wait, 4 months.
Yeah,
And not to mention the money. I mean, I got to bring in a full container. It's a lot of money out there.
yeah, yeah. So you have that many SKUs in your database, you will fabricate that many different.
Yeah.
I think that's a learning for our audience in and of itself. I didn't know that there was such diversity in the hot tub and spa space. I thought everything was relatively standardized, but I guess not.
No, there's a lot of like weird shapes out there too that causes some speed bumps. Also because I do most of the technical drawing myself to actually like, have the machine work the way you want it to do. So I pretty much just draw them as they come, and I'm starting to get to the point where like I don't have to spend all day drawing because I already drew it. So we're starting to
Mhm.
get the ball rolling.
That's cool. Yeah. So you're
Yeah.
starting to database the designs and coming up with procedures for this iteration or that iteration or SKU or however you track them. Makes sense.
Hmm.
So amazing that you and your brother are starting this journey at such a young age. And certainly, you remarked when we spoke before that you often find yourself to be the youngest person in the room by not 2 or 3 years, but sometimes like 20 years or even more.
Hmm.
So, to what extent have you found that age has been either an obstacle or an advantage when you go out and meet with people?
Um, I would say it's honestly 50-50.
Yeah.
And it depends on who you're talking to. Like sometimes if I catch the owner of a store, they see that, they were in my shoes once and they're like, oh, I love it. I want to give you business. Other times you'll run into like a manager or something and they'll be like, ah, I don't really care, just some other kid, you know? But I think I'm kind of getting over that because I feel like I was very, very shy at first,
Hmm.
but you almost have to be a little bit, kind of cocky a little bit, not too much. There's a fine line, but you have to have that confidence about you that makes it look like you know what you're talking about, even if you don't sometimes, which for
Yeah.
the most part I do now. But when I first started, no way.
That resonates because I remember as I was first going out to business meetings in my 20s, I'd ask the question of an older person, so what do you do? And they'd say something, and it sounded like they might as well have been speaking a foreign language. And I'm
Hmm.
nodding my head thinking, I've got to go figure out what that person just said because I have no idea what that role is, what it means, what they do, you know, and how to even follow that up. Except, well, that's interesting.
Yeah, pretty much.
Legitimately, I'm interested now. I got to go figure that out. And, sometimes I'd feel the confidence to say, all right, well, help me, I'm new to all this. Help me understand what that means. And, some would give you the time of day and some wouldn't. So, I guess you're going to
Yeah.
run into that. So, very much representing the, the latest, this next generation of leadership, of entrepreneurship, you and your brother. Um,
Hmm.
as you're journeying forward, and you look at your own experiences, Harry, what leadership trait do you think is important in the here and now today, for today's leaders who are just up and coming like you and your brother?
That's a good question. I mean, I would say it's just being resilient. I mean, at the same time, like I think a lot of people are afraid to get their hands dirty. Like people are like, I'm going to start a business and I'll outsource this, this, and this. That's great if you have money, but if you don't, you're going to do it yourself, and you should do it yourself because you'll learn a lot more that way.
Mm, mm,
Um, and I think just having the confidence to go do something is really important because, you look around and say you see someone successful, you think, oh, wow, he has it really put together. I guarantee you it. Every successful person you look at, they were, excuse me, language, an absolute shit show when they first started out, most likely. Very few cases that they're not like that.
that's very honest and very astute of you. Yeah, I
Just
certainly
embrace it.
just be honest.
Yeah.
That's great. But certainly, I think resiliency is an important characteristic now and for many leaders. Was just talking with a gentleman earlier, and you know, um, he says, like, reference resilience. Like, some days that's all we have. We just have to know
Yeah,
we've got to fight the good fight. And know tomorrow will be a brighter day. And he's right. So,
exactly.
switching gears here to technology, let's talk for a minute about AI because that's been a popular topic on this show in so many different
Hmm.
industries, probably all of them. So it's certainly changing manufacturing, design, operations, as well as the customer service experience. So, um, talk about AI right now as it relates to your world. Are you and your brother using the tools in AI to any greater or lesser degree in the business as of yet?
That's a good question. I mean, I use AI all the time in both my personal and my business life. I mean,
Okay.
I've got like unlimited credits on like on all the sites. I like that. But I think when it really changed for me is I had to come up with a warranty system for like my covers to be able to, you know, basically mark them so I know what they are. Because like what
Mhm.
happened was I was running into a problem where people would be like, "Hey, you sold me this cover and it's broken," and I had no way to even prove it was mine. In many cases, it wasn't mine because I make good stuff. But um, so I looked online and I was like, let me find some companies that are doing this because I don't really know how to do this. And then I asked the company and they were like, yeah, it's going to be, 20 grand to set up and another, like 5 grand a year in maintenance fees. And I was just like, absolutely not. So I went online and I used AI to make a warranty system and it cost me $1,000. I bought a nice, like a Zebra label printer and
Mhm.
a Lenovo laptop that's like $200, and that's it. AI wrote all the code to make it automatic, basically, uploaded all my whole database in there. It was
Wow,
great.
that's a great application. Yeah.
Hmm. But I don't think I'll ever switch anything in customer service to AI. I don't think I would ever do that.
Okay.
I think
Why
it
do you say
seems to
that?
frustrate people more than help people.
Mm. We've gotten a lot of that feedback too, that at the end of the day, people, when they're ready to talk to a human, they want it to be a human.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think you can learn a lot more than that. Like, I mean, I don't really have any applications where I could put customer service right now just because everything's too specific.
Hmm.
But I just think it doesn't seem very genuine to me. Is my issue.
Yeah, 100%. It is, after all, it is artificial. So,
Hmm.
so right now, you and your brother, you're building this manufacturing business, and we're in a period where a lot of people think that everything is outsourced or everything should be outsourced. So, talk about why you and your brother think this is a great time to start building things right here in the U.S.
It's a good question. And I'll tell you that it's more nuanced than it's a good time, it's a bad time. I don't think there's ever a bad time for anything. I also don't think there's ever a good time for anything. Everything comes with its own challenges. Um, I mean, we got absolutely whacked with tariffs when we first brought in stuff from overseas,
Yeah,
and that hurt a little bit,
yeah.
changed kind of the way we thought about things. But I think people are more supportive of it for sure. I think that, Made in America label is pretty important. And a lot of my customers like knowing that, they're not really like talking to someone random. Like they're coming to me. They know where the stuff comes from. It's important to people.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, I agree. I agree. So, looking back over the journey so far, what's something that you believed before starting the business that now, a couple of years in, you may have changed your mind or shifted your perspective on than when you first began?
Um, I thought it was going to be a way easier sell than it is, but I think I wasn't taking into an account how how people form habits and they kind of just stick to that. I mean, there
Mm.
are places that I've gone like, well, I've been with my, current manufacturer for 50 years. Why would I change now? And, you know, sometimes that's a really tough sell because you can't just be like, oh, well, we're better. I mean, you might actually be better, but the other guy goes, but I've known, you know, Joe who sold me covers since he was 20 and he's 60 now, like people develop these relationships that are hard to crack into.
Yeah, yeah. When you're faced with some of that um, situations where it's kind of on you to basically unseat an incumbent, you know,
Hmm.
um, how do you approach that? How do you position cover and supply in those situations?
Um, Usually I'm not very pushy when I sell stuff. You essentially have to wait until the other company messes up.
Hmm.
And in this line of business, I mean, I don't know if anyone's ever purchased a spot cover, but it happens quite often. Things come damaged. It's not the right size. It's not the right color, etc. They change their materials, and it's not, as good as it used to be. I mean, I've gotten three customers from a competitor in the last 2 weeks because they changed their materials. People have been with them for 10 plus years.
Hmm. Hmm.
It's about being ready for that when the time comes.
So it's really about being number one at number two sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And just for mine and our listeners' edification, we think of a hot tub. We think it's designed to last for many years with proper
Hmm.
maintenance and so forth. Maybe the life cycle of one's time in residence. Um, do the covers last as long? Like, what is the lifespan on a cover typically?
The one you get that comes with the hot tub, I mean, I'd give it 3 years at most, but an
Really?
aftermarket one, you're shooting for at least five. 3 to 5
Hmm.
is the
Yeah.
normal range, but that's the thing. I mean, it's recurring business is
Hmm.
what's nice about what I sell. I have all these people that are like, well, why don't you make them better? I'm like, I can. Do you want to pay more money? And they say no. So it's kind of where it's at.
So in theory, you could engineer one to last 5 to 10 years if the market wanted to bear the cost of doing so.
Yes, but usually the answer is they do not want to bear that cost. I mean, I'm working on something now that might make them last like 7 to 8 years, 7 to 10, something like that. But it really depends. I mean, I'd have to test it out with some people, and I don't know if I'm willing to put the money out there to do that.
Hmm.
'Cause it is a risk. But
Because I mean, if you think about it, the cover bears a lot of the brunt of the elements, doesn't it? I mean, that's
yeah,
yeah.
and it's case to case. I mean, it depends on where you live, what your weather's like. What chemicals you use in your hot tub can affect the life of it. If you put too much chlorine in it all the time, it's going to obviously break down faster. Um, it's really tough to determine.
Okay, hence the range. Yeah, that makes sense.
Hmm.
So, having been exposed to your parents successfully building businesses, actively engaged in Pelican, were there any things that you observed in them where you said, to Nick as you started this one, hey, we're going to do this intentionally different than they did? Was there anything that you said, well, there's things that I appreciate and there's some good takeaways from what they've done, but here's some things that we're going to do a little differently than maybe they would have been inclined to do?
Um, I think the utilization of technology is a little different for my parents. I mean, I think my parents know about this technology, but they might not know how to implement it or believe in it. But as far as like standard procedural stuff, um, I have to say in most cases they're right. Um,
Okay.
you know,
Yeah.
I'm a nice
Okay.
guy. I like to believe everybody has good intentions, and I've gotten burned more than a few times. So just the way you carry yourself, maybe. I'm not
Hmm.
sure.
Do you still turn to them for advice from time to time?
All the time.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. That's great. That's great.
yeah,
That's good. And I'm sure they can certainly offer some good perspectives, having been involved in a couple of businesses. So that's
definitely.
great. It's great to have that mentorship close to home, so to speak. When
I
you
mean,
need.
it's pretty fun because like for those who don't know, so like my place where I manufacture hot tub covers is right next door to Pelican. And we kind of have this like little compound where like it's a storage facility. We manufacture covers here. Pelican's over there. So no matter what, everybody's pretty close.
Hmm. Are they a good customer?
Yeah, they are.
That's good.
They were the first one.
I would hope so.
Yeah.
I would hope so. Um, so, starting this business at a comparatively young age, if someone told you 5 years ago, hey, are you going to be building this manufacturing company with your brother? Would you have believed them?
Probably. I mean, 5 years ago, I would have been, I don't know, like a junior in college. I mean, I was kind of just having fun. I was leaving, I was living in Florida, going to college. It was a great time, but I didn't really know what I even wanted to do. When I graduated, I kind of scrambled, took the first job I could get, and I hated it. Definitely like 2 or 3 years ago, yes, I was like, I don't like what I'm doing. I need to do something
Mhm.
else.
Mhm.
But
When you
yeah,
when you talk with old college friends, are they surprised that you're doing what you're doing?
I don't think so. I mean, a lot of like my friends, they work like traditional corporate jobs. I mean, my main group of friends, they all work at the same company.
Okay.
So it sounds kind of fun, but I just like never really took that route. I mean, I had no one in my life to even reference like corporate culture with. Like I had like my parents worked on the weekends, they worked late, they,
Hmm.
bared the burden of having a business at times. And,
Yeah.
I didn't really get that, okay, it's 5 o'clock, we can all go home kind of vibe ever.
That's for sure because what's coming through loud and clear is the work ethic, and you
Yeah.
most certainly have that. And anybody that leads a family business knows that they're really the clock is immaterial. You do what must be
Hmm.
done, irrespective of what time the clock might say,
Yeah.
whether you like it or not. Um, so, as the business is launched and is now starting to grow, what do you think your parents see in you and your brother today? When they see this, how are they communicating what they see, the growth and evolution of you, your brother? You've clearly learned a tremendous amount in a very short time, and and have been able to actually pull it off and do what so many people fail to do, which is get off the ground, So
Yeah.
what do you think they see in the two of you now?
Um, I think a lot of things. I mean, I think one of the things they really enjoy is that, um, for the most part, we have a lot of fun at work.
Okay.
You know, we're pretty close in age. We hang out outside of work, obviously. Um, but they see us working hard and they
Hmm.
enjoy that thing. And they enjoy that basically we learn some of the same lessons firsthand that they learned,
Hmm.
you know. Um, I think the first week we ever did this, I mean, my dad, he's never really around the business that often. He came to us after the first week and was sitting us down and was like, "Oh, like how are things going?" And we share storage with Pelican, so there was like an outdoor patio set, and I was just laying on it, and I was like, my whole body hurts. I'm so tired, so hot. It was the middle of summer when we started. He was like, "Thank God." He was like, "That's exactly what I wanted from this. That's what I wanted to hear."
That's funny. That's funny.
Hmm.
So, and I assume that you and your brother were fairly close growing up, good relationship from the start. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
important. Yeah. Um, it's wouldn't bode well if the two of you were constantly at each other every day.
No, I mean, for anyone listening that has a family business, I mean, there are good days and there are bad days. Sometimes, that's what's nice about family is that you can be very vulnerable with them, but you also know how
Mhm.
to push each other's buttons when you're annoyed with them. And I think sometimes that happens. That's
Yeah.
okay, you know.
So talk about that for a minute. If you and Nick didn't see eye to eye on something, how do you guys typically work through, say, differences of opinion, or if you want to go one direction and he doesn't feel it's a good idea? How do you guys work through when you're not aligned?
That's tough because I mean, there's really no tiebreaker. I mean, there is a little bit because Nick's girlfriend Julia actually does our books and she does a lot of like the customer service stuff. So and
Okay.
sometimes she's like the tiebreaker, or I handle a lot of the customer relations and he handles a lot of the vendor relations, and we kind of we kind of run our own territories for how we deal with
Okay.
things.
Okay.
Um,
So you
Many
have
of the
started.
times, if there's disagreements, it's over like silly things. You know,
Hmm.
it's mainly
Okay.
how it is. Yeah.
Okay. And it sounds like you work through them pretty quickly. If there's yeah,
Yeah.
that's good. And you are starting to define your swim lanes, if you will, as you just said,
Yeah.
which is helpful and healthy, which is not to say that sometimes those lanes cross, and they can, but
Yeah.
as long as you have a way to work through that, and that's good and keeps the relationship healthy because at the end of the day, it is your brother, right? And
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So when you look out to the future, Harry, say 5 years from now, what do you hope that Cover and Supply will become?
I mean, mainly, I hope that it can support a nice life for myself and for both of us. But, I would like to see us, become more of a real company, if that makes sense. Not that we aren't now, but maybe a little bit more put together.
Hmm.
Uh, Not that anything's ever predictable, but some predictability would be great in my life if I could
Hmm.
figure out, what's going on when. Right now, there's a real sense of urgency around everything. And I think that's
Right.
the biggest, it's our biggest obstacle.
Yeah. Yeah. It'll be that way for a while, and you're still in that startup mode, and then
Hmm.
you'll get to a point of some normalization, I hope.
Yeah, that's the hope.
So beyond revenue growth, what would make you feel that the two of you have built something truly meaningful?
I would say I really want to be like established in the Northeast as someone that store owners can go to and trust. I think
Mhm.
that's what makes us very unique is that everybody I talk to, I've been in their shoes to a certain extent.
That's
And I know
good.
what it feels like because a lot of these companies, some of them get bought out by private equity, some of them sell their business to a new person. And sometimes when that happens, they don't really care who's been there for how long. It's just
Mhm.
whatever, go figure it out. I mean, I'd like to work with, our customers to I mean, as corny as it sounds, feel like they're a part of the family, but um, I
Doesn't
think
sound corny at all.
respect's a big thing. And I think,
Yeah.
that mutual respect between your customers and, the business would be a great thing to have.
Mm. And I think you were keying on something else too, and that's and it's also come up in this program a lot, which is the idea of trust.
Hmm.
That they could trust in cover and supply, they could trust in the quality, they could trust in the people that are behind it, and trust that that relationship is standing up, both behind them and beside them. And it occurred to me as you were talking, Harry, that you literally have been on their side of the desk.
Yeah.
You do know what it is to walk in their shoes firsthand. Um, and that's got to be a great advantage when you're out talking with people.
I think also what's really important to understand is hot tub covers aren't really a product anyone wants to buy or sell. I mean, imagine if you bought a hot tub and then 3 years later I told you you need to spend 1,200 bucks to fix the cover. You'd be like, what the heck? I just spent, 15 grand on this thing. Really? Like most people aren't happy when they're purchasing a spa cover. And so it's hard to make people hyped about it. It really is. It's a task in itself.
Well, it's important to keep that $15,000 investment or more healthy and
Yeah.
well, right?
Yeah.
So it's kind of like when you're told you got to have shoulder surgery, by your doctor. No, you don't want to hear that, but it's gonna,
Hmm.
maybe get you back on the tennis court or something, So
Yeah,
you got to do it.
exactly.
You got to take your medicine.
And I think most of the time when people sell hot tubs, they don't really explain the maintenance costs of it, that's going to have to happen for the life of your hot tub. So you're probably
Mm.
going to go through at least five, you know.
Yeah, yeah. Is that um, the part of your process? Are you sometimes giving advice or guidance on as to how to take good care of the cover itself, like how to maybe extend that lifespan a little longer if one can by proper utilization, proper maintenance, just doing kind of good best practice to take care of it?
I mean, yes and no. I mean, like I said, a lot of it's like environmental. Like, I mean,
Mm,
I've seen cases where, trees fall on it or, you know,
yeah.
their hot tub is frozen and unthaws and then the cover gets water in it and it freezes and unthaws. And a lot of it's environmental. And there's really not much you can do about that with it being outside,
That's true.
which is kind of tough.
Yeah. Yeah. So
I can
it's
tell you like what not to do. Like I can tell you like not to like, wipe it down with chemicals or any sort of cleaners, but like most of that stuff isn't actually going to extend it much unless you're really on top of it. And most people don't have the time to be on top of it. It's
I
just the world
see.
we live in.
Yeah, that's true. But nonetheless, you found a gap in the market, where you can play and play profitably and build a business, and you've built it and you're going forward. So that's very exciting, and seeing and yeah, okay, so a hot tub cover might be seen as an occasional nuisance purchase, but you and your brother saw that and said, hey, there's a business here, and not
Hmm.
everybody has the vision to see that, let alone the drive to do it. And you and Nick are doing both. So certainly, I commend you, and I'm sure all of our listeners will say, like, wow, these guys are pretty cool. They're going for it, and that's exciting.
Yeah. It's one of those things that like when someone's like, "Oh, like what do you do for work?" I'm like, "I make hot tub covers," and they're like, "That's so out there." Like that's usually what it is. You
Nobody
know?
says that at the cocktail party, right?
No. Yeah.
So you're always going to be a standout in that regard. And certainly among this listenership, who is all either in or contemplating family business leadership. So awesome. So last question. If any of our listeners did want to connect with you or to reach out and learn more about Cover and Supply Co., what's the best way for them to do that?
I would say check out our website or our Instagram is actually a great resource. I make videos sometimes talking about random stuff. I have fun with it. In a past life, I did work in marketing, so
Okay.
I'd like to think I'm kind of okay at that.
Okay, excellent, excellent. So, and that'll we'll be sure to include all that in the show notes for this episode. So, to wrap out, Harry, what really stands out in your story is that entrepreneurship isn't always about inventing something that's entirely brand new. Sometimes it's about seeing an opportunity, maybe one that's been overlooked or one that's been unattended to, and questioning the way that an industry is operated, and ultimately having the drive and the conviction and the vision to say, all right, let's go for it. Let's build something better. For our family business listeners, it's also a reminder that each generation has the opportunity to create its own legacy, even when inspired by the generation that came before it. So, Harry, thanks so much for sharing your story and perspective. Again, we've been speaking with Harry Dale, co-founder of Cover and Supply Company, and I'm your host, Ed Delia. And this has been another episode of Growing Up B2B. Thank you so much for listening, and we will see you next time. Harry, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me, Ed.
Hey, thanks so much for tuning into Growing Up B2B. To explore more episodes and insights, visit podcast.delianet.com. And if you've enjoyed this episode, please give us a rating or review on your podcast platform of choice. Having worked with hundreds of family-led businesses across my career, and being a second-generation leader myself, I'm on a mission to help every family business I meet achieve next-level growth for their organization. So feel free also to connect with me on LinkedIn and let's support each other. You can also find out more about my company at delianet.com. Again, I'm your host, Ed Delia, and thanks so much for joining us today. Take care.